Peace, everybody. My name is Shanice Gayward Ali. I am the CEO and founder of We Are Phenomenal Women. We Are Phenomenal Women is an organization that basically want to educate our people on domestic violence. Men and women go through domestic violence and intimate partner violence as well. Intimate partner violence is basically when you are intimate with your partner and you have violence going on in your relationship. So IPV is intimate partner violence. Let me make sure that's clear. Domestic violence is something that most of us have poverty experience. So we have physical, verbal, emotional, we have spiritual, we have verbal, we have all these different type of elements of domestic violence. However, not so many of us believe that when your partner um, uh, violates you, disrespect you, hurt you, or emotionally attack your thoughts or try to power control you is not domestic violence. People just feel like domestic violence is physical and it's not all the time. So I would like to bring on our queen lady to come on and speak about her story. And it's so funny because the queen just told me she is 60, she'll be 60 years old. Don't she look beautiful? She look good. She look good. So
God is good. God is good.
so I want to thank you so much for coming on and share your story with us. Please, I give you the floor. I'm going to ask questions, but you already know you're a pro. Thank you so much, Queen, for coming on with us.
Greetings, my queen. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'd like to say greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Buenos noches. Uh, that's evening, right? I'm in Spanish 101. Watch it now. Bonjour, one love, and respect.
Amen.
I'm honored to be here this evening to share my story and all the aspects of domestic violence. Because we hear the word domestic violence, we immediately envision a man hitting a woman.
Right.
It has evolved since the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're now in 2021, and domestic violence has evolved to the point where women are now to be more aggressive than it was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
That's true.
And there's like so many different aspects to domestic violence. And I'm going to do my best to share with you my experience and how I identified each aspect of it. Now, verbal abuse is when someone say things to you over a period of time continuously that's derogatory and it attacks your self-esteem, that at some point from hearing it over a long period of time, you begin to believe that's true. Like, bitch, you ain't shit without, can I say that? Well, with the profanity, we all know what I'm talking about. And if you hear that, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, or whatever it may be that that partner uses to have power and control over you, then they will use that on a continuous basis. Because basically, all aspects of domestic violence has one common factor: power and control. And what that is one person wanting to have power and control over another person in the name of love. Now, as for me, I didn't understand that. My husband used to say, my first husband, excuse me, because I'm remarried now. My first husband used to call me stupid, you're dumb. And it started to make me feel that I could not think without getting his input first. You know, I would want to do something, but no, I got to see what he says, or no, I got to see what he thinks. That's when verbal abuse takes hold of you, that whatever you think or want to say, you suppress it until you get the approval of that other person. Now, when I got to the point where sometimes he used to say things that were so hurtful, and I know this may sound crazy, damn, I wish he'd have just had slapped me. Because sometimes the physical abuse, you can heal and move past it. But when someone says something to you that cuts you to your heart, spirit, it resonates, you know, and that's how the brainwashing process. because you keep hearing those words over and over again. It takes hold of your emotional being and it begins to attack your self-esteem. And little by little, it dwindles down to where, okay, maybe I am stupid. Maybe I am ugly, but this is not true. Your self-esteem is being attacked. So you begin, because like I said, over a period of time. So I used to think that. And then one day I said to my husband, if I'm ugly, why did you marry me and have children with me? I socked, you know. And again, I was like, okay, well, at least he's not going to say that anymore. But I'm looking like a raccoon right now because I got 2 black eyes. Okay. The emotional part of it is where you are so beat down to where even your best day is your worst. Okay. 1 minute during the honeymoon stage where he's buying you flowers and apologizing for hurting you, then your emotions are running on high. They call that the honeymoon stage, and it lasts for a little while and it's right back to the same old routine. That's the emotional part of it. And that is the most cunning of the batterer because he knows at that point, once you forgave him, you feel that's what you're worth. You feel that's all you deserve. You feel that's the best you can do. So you stay because this is all I have. And a lot of times people ask women like us, well, if he was beating you up and treating you so badly, why didn't you just leave? Please hear me clearly. Any attempt to remove his power or remove yourself or remove your children is putting your life in danger. Please know that. I'm not saying that to scare you or frighten you. That's when a domestic violence victim is in the most danger of having her children, her pets taken out. And that's as honest as I can be with that, So you stay. And if that's your only source of financial assistance, you stay. If you have 1 or more children and you cannot afford to take care of them, you cannot afford to provide for them, you stay. And you even convince yourself, oh, the beating wasn't that bad. At least my children got a roof over their head. They got food in their stomach and they're safe. They're safe, but you're not. You understand what I'm saying? And the next thing that's the most degrading in domestic violence is the sexual abuse. Can a husband rape his wife? Yes. Can, in a relationship, common law, your significant other forces himself on you? Anytime someone does something in sexual, intimate nature towards your body without your consent, that is rape. In the city and state of New York, if you look under the rape law, that is rape. Oh, he's my husband. That was my concept. Well, how can a husband rape his wife? Did you want to do what he asked you to do? No. Did he force you to do it? Yes. Okay. Anytime someone forces you or make you commit to something that's not in your nature, not in your preference, and it's not something you want to do, but you do it to please that person, that's right. And for years, my husband was doing things to me sexually that I just felt like a hole in the ground, like he was using me as a toilet. You understand what I'm saying? And I never said anything because being in my naivete, well, a wife is supposed to submit to her. Your job is to satisfy his every need, even if that's not what you're about. You're going to do that because as the wife. So I went along with it for about 5, 6 years, and then making love turned into having sex turned into rape. I'm not going to use the F word. Because now oh my God, I felt ugly inside, ugly outside, ugly all day long. That is sexual abuse, especially when your body is being used for an act that you don't want to participate. And the most cunning part of domestic violence that I endured was the psychological, where my husband, my first husband, began to play tricks. Like I would put something down, he would move it, watch me looking all over the house for it and panic because I need to find this card for the kids, whatever. And he would move it. And I would like, yo, babe, did you see so and so and so? I had it right here. And he would respond with, you sure? You sure you put it right there? You know, you might be mistaken. Maybe you put it over here and I'll go look over there. Or maybe you put it this place and I go look that place. And meanwhile, he's sitting there with this smug look on his face because I'm running all over the place, second guessing my action when I was adamant in what I knew I did. But he had me thinking, I did. That's psychological. Anytime someone tell you, oh, I think this, don't you think? I'll do all the thinking. And you're in a relationship, you are now being held hostage. It is either your time to make a plan to remove yourself. You must be very careful when you're trying to leave an abusive relationship, whether it's a same-sex relationship, transgender relationship. Domestic violence is like HIV and COVID-19. It does not discriminate and no one is exempt. Please hear me when I say that. You know, that's when you're in the most danger. So if there's someone you truly trust that you know cannot be bought or rented or put on layaway. And when I say layaway, for $1, they'll give you up and sell you out.
Ain't that song?
Hey, it's been done. It happened to me. And I was stunned, but it was by a family member. But I guess the price was right. Who
Wow.
am I to say? I just knew I would never
That's
trust that person.
that's a part of sex trafficking type thing, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Wow. So,
And last but not least, and then you can ask me anything you like,
hmm
is the spiritual. Let me just give a clarification. I'm not a Christian, I'm not Muslim, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I do not follow any dogma of religion, but I do believe in a God of my understanding, which is good, orderly direction. And that's the way I conduct my life. I treat people the way I would like to be treated.
right.
If I can help, I can help, but I will never bring you harm on purpose or deliberately. That's just not in my nature, you
Mhm.
know. So when I pray, I just have an open hand and an open heart and an open mind. My spirit is under God's control,
There you go.
you know. And when you begin to say God this and God that, people automatically, oh, you was a Christian? I didn't know you was. I said, who said I was a
Right.
Christian? Oh, you a Jehovah's Witness? I tried to be, but one thing I found very standoffish with Jehovah's Witnesses, they do not fellowship outside
hmm
at all.
hmm
I didn't know that
Yeah.
until I have a family member that's a witness, and I invited this church event I was doing in the park, and she
Mhm.
was like, "I can't attend that." I was like, "Why not?" I mean, she was like, "My religion." So faith-based religion, that's your choice. I respect that. And I ask that people respect mine because I live a lifestyle where people say, how you always calling on God? I said, if you had any chance to ever see a Bible, in Genesis in the first, all he was, hoes, robbers, beggars, and murderers.
hmm
Those with the most tainted come before me and
That's
I will cleanse you.
that's right.
That be me.
That be us.
That be, but some people be like,
Yeah.
let's not talk about that.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm being honest. So as far as I'm concerned, every day I hold myself accountable.
That's right.
If I cause you harm, I will immediately, when you bring it to my attention, humble myself and apologize. When I'm wrong, I admit I am wrong.
Right.
So I found that living that way after being incarcerated for 10 years for a domestic violence issue, where Wednesday, September 24th, 1997, I took the life of my legal husband and the father of my 3 children. And I was immediately first charged with murder in the
Mm.
first degree, and the sentence was 25 years to life.
Wow.
But it was due to this nun by the name of Sister Mary Nerney. She died November 27th, 2013. I love you, Mom. Miss you all the time. Her diligence and a program called Steps to End Family Violence. I
Mm.
served, I got a lighter sentence, which was manslaughter in the second. I pleaded guilty and I served 10 years. And a lot of people say you shouldn't have pleaded. Listen, however it happened, it is at my hands that I had to, my children lost both their parents in one night,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
but he deserved, no, he did not. He wasn't a violent person. It's just that during that time in our lives, things that we saw as normal, it was not, it was dysfunctional. But because
Right.
you've never been exposed to a healthy relationship, how
Sure.
are we to know that our relationship was unhealthy? He watched
That's
his
right.
dad hit his mom. I grew up seeing my dad hit my mom. So you think that's how it goes in a marriage. But we both were wrong. And the
Mm.
consequences is my children, our children paid for that.
Yeah.
Because the three of them grew up, father dead, mother killed the father, so she in jail. And family
Right.
can be the most evilest and hurtful, telling a story that's not the truth. They just want to be shock effect, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So once I prayed, I mean, got on my knees, because out there in them streets, I was on my knees a lot, but I wasn't praying. God is good.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me, you
Right.
know? And I asked him, if you get me out of here in one piece, upright, walking upright, I will serve you
Mm.
to the last final day you call me home.
Wow.
And that's how I got on this path and this work,
Mm-hmm.
because he gave me a reprieve.
I'm
And I
sorry.
came, a husband
Hold on.
raped his wife. So he gave me a reprieve. I came home. My first year after serving 10 years, I was still a little institutionalized to where I remember I was living with my sister and my two older children. And I was only taking a shower on Thursday. So one day I came home. My son told me it's Tuesday. It's okay. You smell. You. And then the next thing they did was take the door off my bedroom, because I would come in from the program, have dinner, and go in my room, close it and lock it, you know. And I didn't realize this was a behavior that was instilled in me. But after 10 years, you do have some sort of institutionalization when you come home. Nobody goes to jail or prison and come back the way they left. Please hear
Nope.
me when I say that. And please understand the difference between jail and prison. Jail, short term. Prison is incarceration,
Right. Right.
longevity,
That's right.
solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
I went to
Ooh.
prison, no mental health issues. I
You
was there
came out.
84 days in solitary confinement, came out diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Only
Wow.
as a tomb. They put me on Thorazine, then lithium, then Seroquel. You cannot be mentally unbalanced, incarcerated. You are a prime target. Okay. A lot of things happened to me, sexual assault by women, psychologically traumatized me. I didn't even think a woman could rape another one. Being in a
Mm-hmm.
room and hearing my own heartbeat so loud in my head, getting visits from people in my family that had been deceased for years,
Mm-hmm.
sitting right there talking to me. That's how mentally I deteriorated from just 84 days in solitary. 84 days. You hear piercing, excruciating screams. Ah, okay, that's to break you. And again, I give it to my higher power, because the things I endured when I came out of there, I was on psychotropic medication till I found that it was too strong for me. I couldn't function. You
Mm.
know how people have that look like somebody there, but the elevator ain't going.
Right. The
I had
zombie
that.
look. Right.
Yeah, and my there you go. That's the word, zombie. And my niece one day was over and she was like, "Your auntie, you high?" I said,
Mm.
"What do you mean?" She said, you on drugs?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm drooling and shit. I was like, "Yeah, I'm on drugs." She said, "Well, give me some because you look tore up."
Wow.
And I pulled out the pills and she was like, "What the hell?" And she became my health proxy because she said, "Whatever it is you giving my aunt, it's too strong." And she was like, she was livid. And she had to go to the American Medical Association to get them to take me off of it and put me in talk therapy. And I
Wow.
advocate for that with my due diligence. Sometimes medication is not the answer, it makes it worse. But creating zombies coming out of the correctional facility or what is the Justice Criminal Society?
Mm-hmm.
They're man-made and that's done deliberately. That's not a
Right.
mistake. It's being
Wow.
done deliberately.
Right.
Because one thing I learned during my short stint working on the island, when they put you on those medications, it takes like 14 days for it to build up in your system, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then if they hear you're being released within that week, they remove it. You know why they do that?
Mm.
To ensure when you finally get back into society, you're going to mentally unravel, commit a crime, or do something that's going to take you to the hospital, and then criminal charges, whatever you did, they will be putting those together. So when you release from the hospital, you go straight to jail. And
Wow.
it's a lot of things going on. It's time for we as a people, and I don't
Yes.
mean black people, white people. I think black is a color. I come from a culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not black because I'm not a color. I'm a culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to start taking accountability
Mm-hmm.
to preserve our future, to preserve that we had a legacy that created all of this, you know, but because we're so Jim Crow brainwashed, like crabs in a barrel, we keep passing that on to the next. It's time for us to
Right.
stop that. And look
Right.
at, we come from kings and queens. We are royalty. We are the first race of people that was brought to this country against our will. Sliced
Absolutely.
up. Man, they took me to Montgomery, Alabama. I left here black and came back African American.
Stop it. You are too
So
much.
I'm
So
real with that.
no,
I
I
left here.
listen.
My
I
sisters told me I need to find my roots. I left here black and came back. Man, the things I saw in the museum, and we went to this burial ground.
Mhm.
You ever been to Montgomery, Alabama, where they have the African American?
It's funny that you mentioned Alabama because we did go out there, but we didn't get the chance to really stay. But I just want to get back to something though. When you said um you went through PTSD in being incarcerated, but were you going through PTSD at home? Like, okay, so what I'm basically asking is when you was going through the DV situation, DV stands for domestic violence for those who don't understand what DV stands for. When you was going through domestic violence with your first husband, um, were you did you date anybody after, like, that was your husband and the only time he wasn't your husband is when you know, did what you did?
We had an I call it not an incident. We had a tragic ending to our marriage.
Okay.
Um, the reason I received the PTSD was because of the longevity of the domestic violence, and
Okay.
then be put in an environment, a
Right.
society that's governed by violence. I was re-victimized to the point where while I was incarcerated, I committed 2 more crimes. It was not intentional. It was on my own self-defense,
Right.
you know. And in the state of New York, and they tell you about, oh, just say it was self-defense and you can prove it's self-defense, the district attorney will use words like allegedly,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly. When you have evidence, undoubtable evidence, I was fighting for my life. But their
Mm-hmm.
job is to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. I don't care why you took that life. Simple as
Right.
that.
Right.
It was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a therapist sat me down and had a medical conference with me and explained to me the reason we're giving you this diagnosis, because I said, well, I thought people in a war would suffer from that. She
Mm.
said, basically, this is how she broke it down. I'll never forget this woman's face, Dr. Rubenstein. She said, basically, you were in a war, but
Mm.
you was being brutalized, beat, raped, you on a continuous basis. That was your war. And then
Mm-hmm.
being put in an environment that you was re-victimized by strangers,
Right.
your psyche separated and you went on automatic pilot
Right.
because you still traumatized from the violence in your home. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And then you throw
Mm-hmm.
on some more violence, but this violence is by strangers. So now I'm definitely fighting for my life because I don't even know what your problem is, but I ain't gonna let you hurt me.
Right.
You hear what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how I got the post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis.
Got you.
And I
Got
said, okay, it makes sense. And
right.
that's what convinced me to accept the diagnosis, start taking psychotropic medication. But over about 18 months of being on this medication, I couldn't function. One day I woke up, I was so scared and paranoid, I couldn't leave my home to go to work, afraid to call my boss, afraid to just open the door. I always felt like I was this big. Everything was out of my reach. Everything was difficult, you know. And I reached out to my niece because I couldn't leave the house. I was scared to death. And she was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Nah." She was like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing." She's like,
Wow.
"You look like you here, but the elevator ain't going to the top."
Ain't
She's
that
like, what are you on?" And I gave her the pills. And she's like, "What the hell?" She got on the phone, started making phone calls. She took the pills, dumped them in the sink, and said, "You ain't taking that shit no more."
right, right, right.
And it took me like almost 30 days for it to be
Okay. To
completely
be right out of your
out of my
system.
system.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
had days that it's like a heroin withdrawal. Days I was
Mm.
sweating with a fever, days I was
Right.
shaking with the chill, days I was just crying from depression, days I was angry because I'm awake. It was a whole emotional roller coaster for her. But she stuck by me till
That's
I
right.
took that first step,
That's
and
good.
that was 23 years ago.
I was about to ask you how
Rest in
long ago
peace.
was that?
Yeah, she recently passed away, my niece Michelle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry to hear that. But she was definitely there and
yeah.
supported her auntie from the beginning to the end. And that's good because let me tell you something. People who gone okay, so my next question, I'm gonna finish my sentence and I'm gonna ask you another question. So people who gone through these things, people don't understand and they like, oh, this mother sucker is crazy and go. You know what I'm saying? Leave and then you by yourself. So I'm happy someone was there with you. I do want to ask you because they have that same that the same words all the time. Hurt people. Were you
That is
one of those people as well? Did you? Because I
hurt
know I
people, hurt
was.
people. When
Hmm.
I look back at it, and I have to be honest, the violence I endured at the hands of my husband, it trickled down to my kids.
Hmm.
Okay, I wasn't physically abusive to them, like beating them. No, but the lack of feeding, the lack of other things, a mother hugging, being attentive, talking to your kids, spending. I was lacking in those areas.
Okay.
So my hurt them. But
Right.
thank God now we have, well, two of my children I have a very good relationship with. One,
That's
I'm gonna
good.
write it off to course because I'm not gonna keep. And one thing, I'm the type of mother, when you make it clear to me that you have a strong dislike for me, I'm whether I brought you in this world or not, I'm not gonna buy your love.
Right.
I'm not gonna rent your love, and
Right.
I'm not gonna try to put your love on layaway. If
Right.
I've already apologized to you, I've admit the mistakes I've made, and you still want to throw more negativity. Oh, you remember when you was a crackhead? Yeah, I used to be a lot of things. But
Mhm.
today I'm not that person.
That's
So if you
right.
think you're gonna beat me up with my past to get what you want out of me in the present, which is a gift to me, you won't see me in the future.
Right.
I remove myself,
Right.
you know. And I've been asked that a lot. My relationship with two of my kids, excellent. They we closer than
Wow.
peanut butter and after that, there's that one that
Mm.
she done brought me so much hate, and I just can't. I have to love
Right.
you from a distance
That's right.
because I see you want to hold me hostage with my past. So the best way
Exactly.
I can be the best mother I can be to you, since I wasn't a mother then, is to allow you to live your life because you're grown and you've been without me a whole decade and some odd stuff.
Mm-hmm.
God has taken care of you all this time. If
Right.
you don't want
Wow.
me in your life, I'm not gonna fall. You say you don't want me in your life, I'm gonna fall back.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? A lot of people say, how can you just walk away like that? I didn't just walk away. I was asked to leave. When
Mm.
your child says to you, as an adult, it's not no minor, this is a 30-year-old person. Look, B, I don't need you in my life. I don't want you in my life. Keep it moving.
Oh,
Deuces. I'm a honor your request.
that's it. That's it.
That's all
And
you can do.
with that, you just only want to hope and pray that he or she is doing good. In your case, is a she, but I'm just saying for anyone who's listening, our children, we might birth them, yes, but when, like Queen Lady is basically saying, if they write you off, then I mean, how much do you want me to do? But I don't mean that you're happy. You're not happy.
No,
Right.
no, no, it hurts my
Right.
heart.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mean to over talk. Here's the thing I need people to understand, especially as a mother. We know sometimes, whether we want to admit it or own up to it, we fall short in certain areas. I was a mother, got pregnant at 14, had my first child 15, the next one 16, and the last one 18.
Mm-hmm.
Being inexperienced, a child having a child, and trying to be a person that I was not prepared to be. Let me just put it that way. I wasn't prepared to be. And my children was exposed to domestic violence through their whole childhood, they single
Mm-hmm.
digit childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 10 years I was gone from their lives, I lost them at 3, 9, and 10, came back, they were 13, 19, and 20. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me like almost 5 years to even get mediation to have a conversation with them. I did
Mm-hmm.
everything I needed to do to make
Mm-hmm.
amends and to try to repair the damage I did. We can't forget it, not forget about it. No, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you, do you want to take this first step forward, moving?
Right. With me. Right. Mm-hmm.
And if you say, I choose not, as a mother, oh, I brought you in the world, you got to know. Once a child has an outside influence, we are no longer their main priority. Once they find their footing where they tell you, I'm grown, let me live my life, what do?
Right.
Let them
So,
live their life.
right, absolutely. So do you believe or do you feel that she might be going through um DV, maybe?
Well, as far as that part comes, I I think she, and if she watches or see this, it's not to hurt her. If the situation was a DV situation at any time in her life, I would say 9 times out of 10 she was the, because she has a lot of hurt, she has a lot of anger, she has a lot of rage. And I seen it with my own eyes towards her brother, a young. So if she ever endured that, I don't think she would be the victim. I think she would be the aggressor because she is very hurt.
Hmm.
And I mentioned therapy one time, and oh, you think I'm crazy? I said, no, I go to therapy every week. That makes me crazy. Oh, but you stupid. Oh, well, okay. You know, there was always an impasse for her to the point where I even went as far as tried to buy her love. And when I say that, everything she asked me for, I asked her to go to school and get a high school diploma.
Hmm.
At 18 years old, I had to take it back to put it back in school.
Hmm.
And if you do that, I'll do this.
Hmm.
So that's how you're bargaining and buying it. No, I didn't need to do all that. You need it as well as I
Right,
need it, but you need it more.
right.
So when I say buying your children's love, that's when you buying them $200 sneakers and you wearing Cinco zapatos. Okay? Buying your children love is when they tell you, I need a coat cost $350, and your coat you just got out the thrift shop.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
buying your child's love.
I
You know.
understand. Yeah.
So I had to be like, listen, you got to earn my money now because I'm working too hard for it.
Right. But I
For
just want
real.
to, before we close up, I do want to ask you, how do you feel today? You know, do you like, are you careful on who you deal with now? As I heard you have a husband now, but were you cautious before you went into another relationship? Um, are you still healing from, and I heard you say it's 20 some years ago, but are you healing from that? What is your methods now of healing? Because not too many people know how to heal. Some people say, I don't want to cry, but crying is a part of healing.
Mine is good. It's so cleansing for your spirit. Um, like I said, finding the God of my understanding. Because I was force fed the dogma of religion, the Baptist, the Christian, the this, that, and the other thing, and all that. I even had somebody pray on me. It didn't work. But when I went to God with an open heart, mind, and spirit, and I saw that He was answering every prayer that I said to Him, and my life began to unfold, and I
Mhm.
began to become comfortable in my own skin.
Mhm.
Um, when I first came home for 5 years, I dated myself. And
Mhm.
if you don't know what that means, let me break it down for you. I focused on everything that I missed out on. Like if I wanted this coat, I'ma save up and get that. If I wanted a certain pair of boots, I started putting material stuff into my agenda, into my little, how you say, tool shed.
Mhm.
Because my spirit, I was going to church, I was going to the mosque, I was going all over. I went to one time
Just trying to
to,
find right.
yes, trying to find
Mhm.
my God.
Mhm.
I went here in my neighborhood, excuse me, to a Spanish church. Pardon me. And I
Are
need
you
some water.
okay? Mhm.
No, I need a drink of water. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Just get a little water on me. I don't know why I put my glass all the way over there. But and I didn't understand anything they said, you know, but the aura of it was so uplifting and inspiring that I was like, yeah, God, and I took that first step. I got on my knees and I prayed for the
Mhm.
first time with I mean, open hand, open mind, open spirit. Never did
Right.
that before.
That's
Never
good.
did that
Wow.
before, you
Mhm.
know. And angelic voice said to me, "You're my child, and what's so unique about you as a child of God that makes you God's property, and what God has created, allow no man, woman, children included, to put us
Mhm.
to put asunder." I
Mhm.
took it one day at a time, one day. And now, 2 decades later, I went back to school after a 25-year absence. I got my associates, my bachelor's, and then my master's. I created a law, the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act law.
Mhm.
Um, the last AIDS walk, I was a star walker. I mean, I've been blessed to have a lot of stellar achievements in my life,
Good
but
for
it
you.
all came because I put God first. I got rid of that delusion that I was in charge of my own destiny, that I made things happen without understanding. There was times in my life when I really thought it was the end of the road. This
Yeah.
is it, no further. But then some miraculous thing happened and I persevered. And at that time in my life, being so self-delusional, I didn't understand a
Right.
higher power.
Right.
So
Right.
he made himself crystal clear. And on December 15th, 2005, when he walked my little monkey butt out of Rikers Island, brought down from Arbion, I was like, oh God, I promise you, you'll never, ever, 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 ever have to worry about this again. And
Right.
that's another thing. I have 20 plus years, no recidivism
Mm.
whatsoever, you know. So God has blessed me with a lot of good things, and I'm an instrument. And I realize now, the only thing that's so special about me, I've been chosen to bring forth a voice
That's right.
that has been silenced for so long.
That's right. And that piece right there is how I feel too as a domestic violence survivor. Let my voice be heard for all the ones who are silent, because I was once that. I'm thinking I'm the only one who's going through domestic violence. And then once I got into the realm that I am now, I'm like, what?
I
Even
believe it,
men,
right?
men go through domestic violence? It was just so,
Yes.
yeah, it was so, I'm thinking just women. And that's it, because I am woman and excuse me, experienced this with a guy who was doing that to me. And then, once I got into another relationship after him, I found myself doing that to him, but verbally abusing him. So our next guest is actually a man who's going to come on and share his story. which is a
Yes,
wonder. Yes, which is a
because
wonderful thing.
I just want to applaud the next speaker because my king, it takes a lot for you to disclose. And I know you probably faced not being ostracized by other male partners talking about, oh man, suck it up. Or you call the police and they tell you something like, oh, it's not that serious. Have a beer, calm down. She didn't hurt you, did she?
Right.
Please continue to use your voice.
That's
My
right.
king, I honor, I applaud you, and I am privileged to be on the same panel as you.
That's
Thank
it. Thank you. So I'm waiting for him to come on. And yeah, I definitely, want to start my own a bill or strengthening some of the laws that's going on right now, because all the things that we think of is not, for example, if somebody is in a hospital, I believe that the whole administrators should know that this person have been gone through domestic violence and they need to protect the person.
you.
So with that being said, our next speaker is on, and I would like for you, Queen, to mute yourself, or if you decide to click off, it's fine. Um, so hi, Mr. Phil. Good evening, King. How are
Lady
you?
Catherine.
Good
Hey,
evening. Good
Felix.
evening.
What's up, my king?
Hey, all.
Yeah, that's my
How's everybody
dude right
doing?
there.
Okay, okay.
Much love and
So,
respect. I'm gonna be quiet now. Do your
okay.
thing, baby. Do your thing.
Mm.
Okay. So, my king, do you mind if our queen stay on with us
Oh, yeah,
while?
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So we're going to give each other the respect. Queen already spoke, and I just want to make sure it's good with you that we are recording. I will put it on Facebook a little later on. Okay. So do
Okay.
you mind if we record?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I asked everyone because I don't look. I'm just a small person. I ain't trying to get sued with my little coins. So, King, I'm gonna let you say your own name. I'm very happy that you are on and you are sharing your story. So once again, we are Phenomenal Woman is an educational organization that wants to prevent our people. When I say our people, I mean everybody, man, woman, and child, same sex, same sex also go through domestic violence. So with that being said, I just want everyone to understand that domestic violence don't have no it's not, they don't discriminate, it's no race, it's everyone experience domestic violence. So our king is on to share his story, and I don't want us to just focus on physical, because everybody know physical abuse is DV, as everyone see, black eye, busted lip, but there's other type of domestic violence as well. You got the emotional part, you got the verbal, spiritual, sexual, financial, even fathers who have children and they're not able to see their babies. That is also abuse. And I want to highlight that because a lot of fathers don't understand. A woman who keep their children away from the father, it is abuse. So I want to give the floor to you, King. You speak your name and whatever that you're comfortable on talking about, please share with us.
My name is Felix Guzman. I'm a poet and organizer based out of New York City. I'm also a father who is being alienated from his child. Thank you for prefacing the conversation with that. In other parts of the world, parental alienation and denied access is criminalized. In the United States, it's not. Coercive control is criminalized. That's a lot of the psychological abuse that happens during the relationship. And the United States is just far behind in terms of like legislation as well as intervention and punitive measures as well. So I'm a person who has a facial difference. I was born with birth defects, so that kind of that kind of like creates this whole like dynamic of within myself that anyone who would be loving me loves me for me. unfortunately, that is not the case because I keep choosing, or people keep choosing me as the focal point of their abuse. So,
Mm,
looking different has created this sort of like codependency in me, and I tend to overlook a lot of the red flags because, again, like as a formerly incarcerated person as well, I realize that I have some blemishes in my past, and a person's past is not how they're presenting now. But people have their ways about themselves that are still hidden that you don't see until much later on when it's too late.
yeah.
And for me, I'm gonna talk about different relationships because they kind of sort of escalate and ramp up in terms of like it went from psychological and physical to then like just emotional, then to physical and emotional. And once I started to realize that I kept on overlooking obvious red flags because I tried to look for the better in people. It just became an issue of I got to start learning how to love me and realizing that to depend on someone else to define me is was not gonna help was not helping me at all in the long run. So some time ago, I'm gonna talk about the relationship I have with my son's mother. Some time ago, I met my son's mother. At that point in time, I had just come out of having a cancer scare. I was basically just lost and trying to find definition. She presented that she liked me, she loved me, and lo and behold, some time down the line, she moved in as she had gotten pregnant, and that's when things started happening. Where I started realizing that it wasn't so much a healthy relationships, whereas, the finances were on me. She was purposely working under the threshold of poverty to get the WIC and food stamps. I assumed it was for the baby and for the family. However, it turned into a situation where I was allowing her to apply for apartments, for Section 8, for housing, for public housing, and the NYC Lottery Connect, as I, as a formerly incarcerated person, would not have been chosen as the viable candidate for these types of housing because of that. And so, I had come off of Social Security Disability or SSI and had been working full time at a job. And this is why my building turned into a shelter. So, my building turned into a shelter at the same time. So, I was dealing with, broken mailboxes, pimps and sex workers, drug dealing, broken, people going up and down the fire escape, people breaking and entering into apartments, and then I'm working in hostile work environments in the nonprofit world because that's what nonprofits kind of are, hostile work environments to a certain extent, almost a majority of them. And so during the relationship, I was seeing that she was not taking care of my son. She was cutting work. She was not breastfeeding. She wasn't taking initiative to help out in the like taking care of the home, and it just turned into like she's doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and then me as a formerly incarcerated person trying to keep on top of credit score while my building is falling apart, and my son was showing signs of developmental
Oh,
developmental delay, and
okay.
in trying to gather resources from the city for him,
Right.
it became an issue of I needed her as well, and it just seemed like she was doing her own thing. And lo and behold, she was cutting work. She was doing as she pleased. I couldn't say anything because, again, like I just wanted to be around my
Yeah.
son, and I took a lot of disrespect and also overt just like non-commitment to actually having a family, because I was willing to overlook a lot because I really wanted us to work. I had said let's go to counseling. She didn't want to do that. She would say things to upset me purposely because as a formerly incarcerated person and someone with a mental health diagnosis in my past, I can't afford to raise my voice. I can't afford to look aggressive or any of that matter because you know
It would
police don't
trigger you.
de-escalate.
It basically
So
triggered you, right? In other
yeah,
words,
so I
right.
have
Okay.
PTSD. So imagine your building is what it is, the relationship is what it is. You're trying to hold on to making honest money for your child,
Right.
and then at one point in time, I found out that she set up two housing connect accounts behind my back. So the whole time that I'm going to work full time, trying to make an honest living, trying to put a safe roof over my child's head and her head as well, she set up two housing connect accounts behind my back, and that
Mm, mm-mm.
You know,
Well,
that killed me.
yeah, I know. Because we talking about domestic violence, can you, because that's one of the
It's
things
an
that,
environmental abuse.
right, the verbal abuse. So that's one of the things I wanted to get you to highlight some, because some people feel like being called uh the B word, a woman saying that to a man or a man saying it to a woman, it's supposed to be
Um,
something cute, and it's not. I don't know if that's what she called you, but
uh,
I don't know why people feel like it's okay to be called these things.
it was more than that. It was at least, like at least I'm not taking all of your money, or at least I'm gonna take you to court so you'll never see your kid, and other stuff like that. So imagine trying to hold it together, knowing that the person you're sleeping right next to is trying to provoke you into committing DV so they can run off with the child.
Mm,
And like that whole like dynamic of like I just want to be there for my son. My son has issues and no one's getting him help. I'm going to work
mm,
full time trying to get, I had life insurance, I had medical dental for him and myself.
mm,
And that's something big because again, like, I never had jobs that were like that offered benefits. I've been poor
right,
my whole life. So,
right.
and these are jobs that I transitioned into out of being unemployed and
Incarcerated,
going to
right,
school because of incarceration. So these
right,
jobs were important to me.
right.
And, she had, she ran game on me. She ran game. So, she worked retail her whole life. She's 6 years older than me. When we met, I was heavily on medication. I couldn't really realize what was happening. I had a cancer scare that I came out of. I just felt like, okay, cool. This is healthy. People go through whatever they go through and then they go to
Mm,
counseling, they fix that and then, it gets resolved. But, like during the course of that relationship, it was more like I was on eggshells and she was trying to deflect her abuse by saying that it's because I'm always anxious or I'm too sensitive. And, the thing is, like, I don't think people realize what it is to make honest money after incarceration, to actually suffer through like some real nasty, like hostile work environments to make honest money. And that's the thing. And also me looking different with a birth defect, I didn't get those same chances that other people that have the privilege of looking normal and or attractive, yet I was trying to find, you know, um retail jobs, hosting jobs, waitering jobs, stuff like that. I couldn't get them. People wouldn't hire me. People wouldn't hire me. So I grew up in the PC like late '90s, early 2000s, and then that's why I got it. That's why I went into what got me incarcerated, which was selling drugs, because I tried to find gainful employment, but without a college degree behind me, I wasn't patient enough or determined enough to persevere and be patient and waited opportunities. But live and learn. And I think that as a formerly incarcerated person, like having to walk away from my child was and is one of the hardest things ever, because imagine being yelled at, imagine trying to be provoked, imagine somebody getting in your face, and all you can do is just look at them like with like a bewilderment where you're just like, don't you know that I love you? Like what's happening here? Like, and then I realized that it's not me, it's whatever happened in her past.
right.
Unfortunately, a lot of women experience a lot of things growing up
Mm-hmm,
and or as an adult, and they don't do the work, just like abusive men don't do the work on healing that part.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Abusive women tend to, there's a preponderance of sexual assault in women's past
mm-hmm.
that can create a
A
vulnerability and
toxic
desire to
relationship.
hurt to
Mm-hmm.
hurt a gentle
Others.
man, or like
Right.
some people sort of perpetuate this I'm not healed so it's okay to do it to someone else because the cops aren't involved. But like emotional abuse is the worst form of abuse because that's something that takes a long like journey to actually heal from. And the thing is, me not being able to be in my son's life, missing the milestones, missing the doctor's appointments,
Yeah.
and not being able to read to him, to play with him, to hold his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I have to put on the back burner because there's only one way to go forward, and that is to change things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to work on establishing an organization to help men that have been abused, to do some family court advocacy and family court reform. I plan to eventually, in 2 years, run for city council so that I can run on the platform of family court reform, and to bring forward the legislation from overseas that's already in place. Parental alienation being illegal. Shared parenting being over there, and then also like coercive control, denied access, all that other countries are far ahead of the United States.
Right.
A person can basically use grooming tactics, use pimp tactics, and then you're just left like as a man or a woman trying to figure out what happened, and then you're stuck on this emotional roller coaster to healing or not healing. And the thing is that one relationship set the precedence for the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one.
That's
And
true.
unfortunately, when I've iterated to someone that had been abused already, it sort of like triggered them to do what they were gonna do. It sort of in their mind gave them permission to. He's already broken. It doesn't matter anymore. He's never gonna see his kid anyway, so let me just harm him as well. And the thing
Well,
is that
I believe, I'm so sorry, because I do want us to stay on the
oh, okay.
DVPs. However, I want to say thank you once again for you to come on, because not too many men actually share these stories. And if they do, they're sharing it behind closed doors. So what you're doing is an act of, um let your voice be heard, as the Queen and I was talking about before you came on. We are the voices of those who are silent, and let other people understand and know that you are not alone. I gone through it, and I do believe men should have more laws when it come down to domestic violence, and definitely for the fact that women play those childish games with the children. You know,
Mhm.
um, I want to thank you again because, excuse me, you was on a panel with my husband and I, but you was one of the panelists, and after we hung up from all the guys, it hurt me because I'm like, oh my goodness, like y'all really need to have something for y'all men. And I would advocate as well for that, because men should not be broken, women should not be broken. But since we have gone through it, we tend to hurt y'all. And
Yeah.
I say y'all, I say me, because I was once that female, and so I realized this is not right. This is not right, and I should not be doing this. And how do I go by loving somebody? And I had to love somebody by loving myself first. So you, Felix, are you in a relationship right now?
No, no. I'm celibate right now. I'm just trying to regulate my own stuff. After those relationships that kept happening, I
Okay.
realized that, oh man, this is getting to a point where like I might just like I can only take but so much. I can only be but so
Right.
kind and non-responsive. But like I took a batter's intervention course, and like preemptively, because I wanted to learn how to not become an abuser.
Right.
But in being in that course, I was around people that were
Word.
mandated, and I realized that like people are choosing to cause me harm. People are
Mm,
choosing this for me. They want me to be harmed. They want me to be broken. They want me to not know where to go for help. And as a man, there are very few resources where you can go. And the thing is, in family court is just structured around the narrative that there's a reason why a man isn't in the child's life. And
mm,
like the fact that the family court judges, the gals, guardian ad litems, the attorneys, they're all in cahoots on trying to like make as much money as possible, and all I want to do is just be a part of my child's life. I was fighting for full custody. I removed that order. Then I'm just trying to get visitation, and the fact that I have to jump through hurdles, for a child who needs someone supportive and healthy in his life because he's going to be needing protection for the rest of his life. And to feel as though I can't be in my child's life because of whatever intentions are there on the mom's part are crazy. Like, I didn't raise my voice to this person. I didn't put my hands on this person. I was encouraging. I found employment for her. I tried and tried and tried. But what can you do if someone's antagonizing you, if someone's trying to set you up? If, like, I refuse to be behind bars waiting to see my kid behind bars. So the
Right.
thing is, like, unfortunately nowadays relationships come with housing, they come with the possibility of a child, they come with financial security. And like, I never thought that I would end up being a father. And once I found out, I did everything right. I was buying all the toys. He had the expensive stroller with all the lights and all that stuff. He had the toys. I had the books. I was asking if you want to do Lamaze classes. I had the breast pump and all that for her. And I was doing everything that I needed to do to make sure I had a healthy family.
Right.
And she didn't want anything more than just whatever she envisioned for herself. And I had to internalize that, like, her and her growing up how she did and having experienced what she did, she doesn't know the value of someone. I'm not going to say a man, I'm just going to say
Loving her.
someone that actually loves her enough
Right.
to be willing
Right.
to work through things. Because unfortunately the experiences of some most women include a lot of abuse and sexual assault and stuff like that. And unfortunately, in the black and brown community, we sort of just kind of internalize and cope with that by drinking and drugging. And so, like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, I wasn't her coping mechanism. I wasn't
Wow.
her, I wasn't her equal. I wasn't who or what she needed in order to be safe for herself. And
Wow.
unfortunately, this is New York City, so the housing market here is crazy. And I experienced homelessness as a result of that relationship afterwards. And then trying to navigate the shelter system to as a dad, try to fight for full custody, get a two-bedroom that's nearly impossible. I had
Right.
to give up on seeing my son because it just hurt so damn much. It left me in the hospital, left me feeling suicidal, left me almost killed by the police. And it just came down to, like, having to basically just accept what I couldn't change at the
Mhm.
moment, but doesn't mean that I'm not going to be advocating for things going forward.
That's
Again,
right.
parental alienation is a very huge, huge, huge issue. Men are taking their lives across the country and the world because they can't have access to
Have
their
the
children.
children.
Good
Right.
men, good men. Some are good men,
Hmm.
and we all know that as black and brown folk that the preponderance of the numbers and stats saying that incarceration happens as a result of not having a two-parent household and having a proper father in the household is there. So for me, being a good father means making the world kinder because he has autism and nonverbal. So I advocate and create healthier communities for him because despite the absence of my presence in my child's life, I am still a good father.
That's
And,
right. Well, I definitely want to commend you on that because, we take our pain and turn it to something to for our purpose and our purpose for you. You and I will always text each other back and forth. I do want to thank you for coming on. Now, I want to talk to you about the woman, the other woman, like how do you because you're looking for love, because most of us are who've gone through
oh
so
my
much
God.
pain at home, pain in a relationship. So when we get out and we want a relationship, how many times have you
Oh
come
man.
across women who was like your son's mother?
Everyone after that in some sort of way, like whether it had been expecting too much from me, but also not doing their part and not knowing, like, unfortunately, having been in institutional settings, I kind of overlook a lot of red flags and normalize like people that aren't healthy. Unfortunately, aren't by definition healthy. So one of my last relationships was with someone from a support group that I met. Now the person is 10 years older than me and is a social worker, and that person is related to the director of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So like in trying to have a relationship with that person was becoming verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive, and then trying to mitigate that with intervention from staff, as I didn't know where to turn, and then like they just let the situation happen. It's like, wait a minute, like you mean to tell me that it's okay to talk about being abused in a support group, and then that the person in the support group hears this, it personally, I feel like, turned them on to the notion of, hey, let me break him further. And then when I go to report to get help because I don't know where else to turn, they let the situation keep happening. So it's a situation where like people just are not intervening when you hear about men getting abused. They are not intervening.
It's
They
true.
think it's funny. They think it's okay. They think that the man did something. Whether that man did something or not, it's still up to the both people to come to a healthy resolution.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to abuse someone where it's like, if someone's not putting hands on you, then like the response shouldn't be, I'm going to put hands on that person because I can, because he doesn't know where to go for help. And the thing is that there's a lot of this is coming from a like a healthy framework of masculinity, not a I hate women like mind frame. Like when it comes down to a woman yelling at a man in the street or getting in his face or anything, no one intervenes. People don't intervene when they see a man getting chastised or like ridiculed or emasculated publicly, and that's a situation that's crazy because if that's if that happens in public, then what happens behind closed doors?
Right.
And the thing is, men are taking their lives because there are not resources out there addressing these issues where, like, to not be able to see your child or to be provoked into committing, being seen as the aggressor in a intimate partner violence
Relationship.
relationship.
Right.
It's manyfold are the issues.
So, okay. So since uh, I'm sure now you know these red flags.
Not all of them.
So
I'll know the ones that I saw.
name the ones that you have encountered
Oh
that
man.
will help other people listening to you right now.
Oh man.
We want you to teach because you are going to be running for city council. And if I'm where I'm at today, still here today, I'm coming to Felix because you're my city council.
Probably
So
I would be looking at a commitment to community. Like, is this person like good is subjective? Good is subjective. Kind is not. Kind is a universal. You can be doing negative things and still be a good person, quote
kind
unquote. But
person,
if you're
right?
kind, that's universal. Look
Hmm.
for the person's intentions. Or this is this person rooted in community? Is this person, is this person contempt? Like does this person have contempt against you or anyone else who is in higher status or whatever? Look at the expectation of, would this person be okay with me not being financially stable? Is financial stability something that this person craves more than actually like sharing a life together? I get the whole notion of a man is supposed to provide, yes, but not at the expense of himself in a relationship. Probably look for, the relationships they have with close friends and family. Listen to the conversations that they have. Also, how they turn up. Like, do they turn up? Like, are they partying more than often than not? And also, just like for me, where I am in life, the person has to be committed to community. They have to have some kind of social justice framework that they operate from, and also just like be okay with like not having nothing one day. Does this person understand the value of a dollar? Does this person value time over money? Like the short temper, the temperamentalness, the entitlement. The yelling for no reason. These are all things that I had to
That
learn
you
because
encountered. Okay.
I had to learn because I look different, so I didn't have all those experiences that I could have learned from before.
Well, the red flags that I have encountered, and these red flags, because I also do classes on domestic violence as well. So one of the things that's a major red flag is the uh, abnormal jealousy. Now,
Yeah.
when I say abnormal jealousy, almost almost everyone is jealous.
That's what I meant about the
Almost.
entitlement too.
Right.
Entitlement and jealousy come together. Yeah.
So abnormal is when somebody is popping up to where you at, or you on the phone with them and they hear noise in the background and they start accusing you and start blaming you. Maybe you cheating on me, maybe this, maybe that, or are you cheating on me? I hear
Yeah.
noise in the background, and, with the money, all these
Yeah.
abnormal that have you thinking in the back of your head, this ain't right. But you got to remember, like the queen said earlier, some people think is normal because this is what they have seen and heard and
Hmm.
they in their homes.
Yeah.
Abuse does not just happen overnight.
Hmm.
It could be sibling abuse, it could be mother and child, or father and child, or husband and wife, or girlfriend and boyfriend. It's different type of abuse. Abuse don't just happen overnight. Some
Hmm.
people don't even realize that it might not be mom and dad, but it could be my siblings.
Hmm.
Another red flag is somebody want to know your every step that you make. Somebody that
Hmm.
want to constantly be in the mix of everything. Somebody who's constantly won't let you breathe. Somebody who's jealous. I'm staying with jealous because that is a key
Hmm.
factor. When you out there in these streets and we doing community work, and then like right now, I'm on the line with you, and if my husband was a jealous man, he become who you talking to? All of these little and as a woman with the man, if the vice versa, she's in your home. Who's this woman you on the Zoom with? Why are you on the that is that is a key, and some people
Hmm.
don't believe it. Verbal abuse, somebody who's disrespecting you, constantly
Hmm.
calling you out of your name, somebody who's putting you down. So, I got a wide nose, somebody, you big nose, making you feel bad, lowering your self-esteem,
Hmm.
trying to tell you you're ugly, those, verbal, okay? And then you got the emotional part. Well, if you go out with your friends, then you're gonna leave me by myself. All
Yeah.
these little key factors that we think when we was younger was cute.
Yeah.
Or some people don't know and they still think it's cute. Oh, he loved me. He just want to know where I'm at. Oh, he just
Yeah.
called me again. Oh, no, that's too much. Or when somebody putting a tracker on your car, you know, where you was at, or checking your mileage. Those are not cute relationships. Those are toxic relationships
I had a
that could lead into something worse.
I had a situation where my son's mother was offering to get me a cell phone to save me money. And then she actually wanted me to get the Find My Friends app, I think it was, on Apple phones, and I was just like, I
Mhm.
didn't think anything of it. But in hindsight, looking back years later, it's like, holy crap, like that
Tracking
was a
your
red
phone.
flag. Like, like the fact that, and she's, who knows what would have happened if like whatever happened happened. The thing is, like, I didn't realize just how much like I overlooked because of I recently found out that I'm autistic, so that kind of explains the naivety and like believing in the good intentions of people.
Right,
But like the red flags, like you don't. There's no like. No one tells you here's a book on red flags for you before you start dating. No one
right,
tells you like watch out for this, watch out for that. No one tells you hey love yourself more than somebody else. And the thing is that we hear about red flags, but we don't hear about green flags, the positive, healthy traits to look for in someone. It just comes down to like just the unrealistic expectation that society places on people to just sort of figure it out as they go along. And the thing is that if you don't have healthy community around you to intervene, to check these situations, or to empower you, you sort of can continue to lapse into these situations, because if you can't heal, if you're still like, you can't experience like a healthy relationship if you're still healing from the previous one. And the
Right.
thing is like, you only know the red flags from the previous ones. You haven't
Right.
experienced the new ones that can just pop up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who really believes in the power of redemption and the goodness in people, like, I have overlooked some crazy things in hindsight. In hindsight, I've looked overlooked a lot of things, but at the same time, I still have this compassion for the other people, because again, like, unfortunately, it just comes down to like, there are some people out there causing harm don't that don't realize how much the next person is going to be a recipient of that harm.
Right.
And it's a trickle down. It just continues. It's, it's relational trauma, transactional trauma. And the thing is that, like, I had to take a batterer's intervention course so that I didn't become an abuser. And hearing abusive tactics in this class was insane. And then, like, I realized that, oh man, like, just as the conversation is so candid about the topics of, yes, I have put hands or this and that on someone, it's like, to hear that, and like to hear how commonly like people in anger or
Mm-hmm.
in desire for power and control will be willing to break another person's spirit, it was intense. It was intense.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing
And
is, that work is soul crushing, but it has to be done, or you will continue
exactly.
to hurt.
Exactly. I'm so happy you mentioned power control. So power control is basically a will that if anyone need that information, please email me at sgatewood@wapw.com. I mean, excuse me, gmail.com. Um, I will send you the power and control. I could bring it up, send you the information, or I could bring it up as well as we speak. So power and control is all the dynamics of domestic violence. It give you the
Yeah.
different things like isolation. They give you
Environmental, financial,
all of that, and
emotional,
then
verbal,
it
physical. Yeah.
also speak on the man or the woman, hold on to the children. Like you can't
Yeah.
see your children. That's in there as well.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can bring it up really quickly for those who are listening. They can have that information. Don't get on. Bye. Hold on. No, but I do want us to understand what is going on, because we don't think men uh we don't I guess some women don't think men hurt too, and men do, and I have learned so much through the years of what I'm doing, through the
Hmm.
years of the people that's around me, understanding who I am, understanding what love is, or what I want how I want someone to love me. Because my
Hmm.
main key words are treat people how to treat you. You have to teach people how to treat you. If you do not teach people how to treat you, they're going to continue to run over you.
Yeah.
That is my main goal. Teach people. So I want to say, Felix, when you get into another relationship with somebody, and if by then, you would
Hmm.
know what makes you happy. Because that was me. I needed to find out, who am I? What do I like? What do I want to do with myself? Do I want to start my own organization? Okay, cool. So with my organization, if this person cannot be a partner, or want to help me with the organization, or we helping each other, or we supporting one another, then that's a key sign.
Hmm.
This individual will not support you and you doing something positive, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Because remind you, if you run for council, city council, you're going to be extra busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this person that come along, if she's not sitting here holding up signs with you,
Yeah.
that's an issue. If she's not out there trying to get some votes for you, that's an issue. If she's not out there spreading that word about her man, that's a problem.
I had a situation happen where I'm sort of talking to someone now, and
Mm-hmm.
we were talking, and then we actually did like like we freestyle, like spoke poetry to each other, and
Mm-hmm.
like when it happened, it was just like, wait a minute, like this is the first time in all my life that anyone has written something for me, not even written something but spoke it for me, and it was just like all these years no one reciprocated like what I was doing for them, and it just felt like it was intense. It was intense. The way
Right.
that like this person sort of understands me is into poetry, is into like into education, into
Mm-hmm.
like advocacy and stuff like that. It's great, but the thing is like I'm still healing. So,
Right.
that whole like having to be on guard all the time is kind of hectic, like unfortunately, I'm in family court still, and that dynamic has me scared to talk to anyone
Mm-hmm.
because of how any kind of relationship might affect my family court status.
Right.
And it's just wild. Like I feel as though I'm sort of trapped in this whole prison of alone because I'm so like I'm always looking for red flags and green flags all the time.
Mm. Yeah.
It's sort of like being in PTSD all the time, and then like
Right.
up from my other stuff being in PTSD from stuff from incarceration, homelessness, and all that, and then trying to find a balance and an equal to someone, and then it's like I can't let my guard down because it's like okay, I have to read into things, or like I have to really like study someone to see if they're healthy. How healthy is this person, or like
Mm-hmm.
at what point in time is the red flag going to happen? And
Right.
that sort of expectation of being abused again is serious because I feel like it's like being in relationships like this that are coming at a time when I'm vulnerable creates this whole sense of like it's going to happen again. And the thing
Right.
is, like, had I not taken that batter's intervention course, I would probably react in a negative way because I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm fed up. I'm fed up
Right.
with you can't see your son, or not getting pictures or videos when I ask about them, which is any and every time.
Mm-hmm.
And just the lack of courtesy and concern that is shown, and then to have that perpetuated by the next person, I can't, I
Don't
would
want to
rather
go
just be
through
by
that.
myself. I'd
Right.
rather just be by myself.
Absolutely. So as you see here, it says using children,
Yeah.
making him or her feel guilty about the children and using the children to rely on messages. I hate that. I cannot stand that.
Hmm.
Using visitation to harass him or her, threaten to take the children away. So that is power and control that most men go through. And I want to tell our men out there that is listening, you are being controlled. You are being controlled. If she can't get what she want, that mother, she will use that. She will use the children. So please understand, you're being controlled, and is domestic violence. I'm gonna take that off, and we're gonna close up.
Okay.
I definitely want to thank you again, Queen Catherine. Come on in, sis.
She's hiding.
Mhm.
No, I'm not hiding my king. I was respecting and listening to you.
Hmm.
I'm honored to be on this panel with you. You know how much I love you, Felix.
Yeah.
Don't act like we ain't know each other. Don't make me put you on front page. What about happening in Albany? You don't want to talk about Albany, huh?
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
I love you,
listen.
my king. Much love
Yeah.
and respect.
Oh my goodness. I went to Albany last year, and they actually gave me my own office room
Hmm.
Okay.
to speak on domestic violence, and we had some powerful people there Unfortunately, some things happen and some people sabotaged it, but it's okay. At the end of the day, the people
It's
that
about bringing forth the voice
exactly, that's it. And
and feel glorified that they stole your stuff.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. I still had it in the hallway. How about that? I still
Okay,
taught my stuff in
that's
the
right.
hallway. So
Mhm.
with
That's right.
that, they did offer me the opportunity to go back. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we might not be able to go back. But
Mhm.
whenever that time come, I will reach out to my peoples,
Mhm.
to my peoples, and say, hey, let's do this together because it's about us as a whole. We all underneath the same umbrella, and we all want to be able to get our voices heard and get people
Yes.
to understand you're not the only one. I definitely appreciate Phyllis all the time
Mhm.
because when he was on that male panel, he said, because I look different. And I told him, I said, look at my husband.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Queen, you saw my husband.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So I'm like,
Mhm.
he's different too. And guess what? I
We
love him.
all different.
Yes. And I love him. His
My
skin is
king, you
clear.
a handsome little devil. You know that. Them little hammerheads. Don't do what you do. You good looking.
Right. Exactly.
I wasn't turning
Listen.
60 and happily married, I'd go. Never mind. What were
Right.
we saying? Something
Look,
about
look,
the night?
look, I'm happy you said it because I couldn't say
I shouldn't have said it.
it. Look,
My
listen.
husband gonna be like, "What?"
What? Right. Oh my
I did
goodness.
say happily married,
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Listen, Felix, you're
but you're a
good.
good-looking man. Don't
Right,
let no woman
exactly.
steal your joy.
That's
And you
right.
know I know you.
That's
Mhm.
right. You see that?
Okay.
Don't
Don't
do
Yeah.
be
that.
afraid to open. Listen, you know how long I was by myself? Almost 15 years. Remember I said how I dated myself, and when I didn't
Yeah.
act right, I took myself home early.
Yeah.
Get comfortable in your own
That's
skin.
right.
There's a love out there for you that's gonna respect you, adore.
Yeah. I got
If I can find it, as broken as I was.
I
Now
got
you remember when you first met me, I wasn't as polished as I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yes.
decided that
And as far as the
platonic.
PTSD,
Mhm.
no, platonic is good, but sometimes you and Festina need a partner.
Yeah. 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 I
Self
I'm
love. I'm
I'm
into
in
that.
Right.
But
I'm enjoying life on my own. I got a projector. I can watch movies whenever I want. I got
you're
video games
getting
on deck.
comfortable in your
I
own
can cook and clean.
skin.
That's
I'm
right.
good. I don't need crazy. I don't need no crazy.
No, but I'm not saying right now. I'm
I know.
saying
I
what you're
know.
doing right now, your process, you're
Mhm.
dating yourself and falling in love with you.
That's
Do
Yeah.
right.
the process. Do
That's
it.
right.
You
That's
know,
right.
female companions, platonical, that's good because you need that interaction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But you dating yourself right now. Look, I had to date myself. Sometimes I took myself home. You ain't acting right. Let's go.
Yep. I'm telling you.
I ain't gonna
Once
spend a dime on you tonight. Take your butt home.
what I want to say
Watch
is
Law and Order.
once you understand what you like and what you want to
Oh,
do,
yes.
anybody who come in and try to break that, that's not a person that you want to be with. And that goes for
Yeah.
anybody. You know,
That's
Yeah.
true.
I my husband just got his Serpa and
I get that.
he just got his masters. And let me tell you something. You talking about him saying, I'm about to give up, and I start putting the back massager on, the
Mhm.
candles burning, because I need him to get it. We're gonna get listen, you're gonna get your masters, okay? I need to
Yeah.
rub your feet.
Yeah.
I would do it to make you feel like that,
Whatever you
you
need to
know,
do.
energized him. The coffee was on deck whenever he needed it, food. I that's how you know this person supports you and love you and respect you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you another way from a sister point of view. Thank you, my queen. Let me just
You're welcome.
add on a little piggyback off of that. If she rub your feet, I've seen your feet.
I'm done.
She's a keeper.
No, you have not. No, you have not. I
Yes,
got
I
good feet.
did.
I got
She's a keeper.
I got good feet.
That's so funny. I can't. Y'all are too funny. I
Uh,
can't. Well,
no, me and
listen.
him have history. I have much love and respect for him. When you said it was Phyllis Guzman, I was like, yeah, that's my man. That's my kid.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
so I'm telling the truth. She like you're good,
There you
but
go.
you're gonna find her. Don't give up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't.
Don't sell yourself short of love that God has instilled in you to have.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay? Because just because that one, don't let it ruin for that perfect.
Listen, it might not be that one. It could be those many. Because
Okay.
I know I went through minis to get where I'm
Yeah.
at
Oh, yeah.
today.
You're going to go through a few. I mean, you got to kiss
Right,
a couple of, I'm not going to say frogs, but you got to kiss a couple.
right,
Because
right, exactly.
look at me. I was, after 15 years of dating myself, I just started getting comfortable in my own skin. I've been home since 2013.
Wow.
I just started, was able to look in the mirror, and the trauma that we've endured. First of all, you don't get over it. It doesn't go away. We
Hmm.
learn and we implement in ourselves. I had to do an exercise. So Sister Mary, I thank you. And I thought the lady was crazy. She said, I want you to look in the mirror at least once a day. Hug yourself. Tell
Mhm.
yourself, I am beautiful.
That's right.
I
That's
love you.
right. That's right.
And at the end of the day that you have completed, put at least 3 successes and 3 failures and 3 things you should have did differently.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
started on that first step. And it's a long process. But please understand, my king, what the hell? Something just crawled up on me, and I'm not talking about a
Okay.
roach.
On that note, we want to stop recording.
I'm thinking, what the hell? First, the window came open.
Okay, Shanice.
Y'all laugh at me and have a good
I
evening.
can't. I cannot.
No,
I
I'm
think
serious. I think it was a roach crawled up my leg. Something too close.
well, we do live in Manhattan in the Bronx, so we
That's
have things
right.
going on. So you
And you
listen,
know that's real.
Lord, that's so
And yes,
funny.
please let it go. God did that because I put the. It was such an honor to spend the evening with you both. And I'm
Yes,
glad I was able
Likewise.
to make you laugh before we adjourn.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. I
So
never
yeah.
saw Felix laugh so much.
Mm.
You know what? He's coming along. I sense that you coming along
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the
You
text
are. You
messages that I
truly
used
are.
to get before, I used to be like, oh my God. I used to tell my husband, we got to do something with the men. We got to do something. And then that's
Yeah.
when we start having those panels. But listen, I don't have much myself, but anytime you text me, I pretty much help as much as I can.
Gotcha.
There's no real services for men though. So this is something that you have to change, Felix. That's something
Yeah,
that you got to
Yes.
work on.
I started at least I started as a business, but I'm looking to actually formalize as a nonprofit. I had a couple of press conferences already with some people supporting, but men can be abused. It's going to be coming from a healthy framework of masculinity and also with a framework of healthy feminism as well.
Right.
Just to address the inconsistencies in how DV and IPV relationships are actually handled. It's
Mhm.
not from a place of demonizing women at all,
No,
at all.
right,
It's just about bringing some kind of fairness and equity to the situation, and to
right.
see to it that fathers' rights advocacy and fathers' rights
Mm,
movements are very much
love it.
tainted by a lot of anti women rhetoric.
Hmm.
Right.
I don't ascribe to that, but a family court reform definitely needs to happen. Like there's a movement around ACS reform as well, and like these things kind of intersect. And the thing is, like, there are men in prison, jails and prisons that are fathers who cannot be around their children. That is something that
It
is
has to be changed.
heartbreaking. That is a perpetual situation where that person might be unable to ever actually be in a situation to be around that child, whether it be because of child support, keeps locking that person up, or DV, provocation,
Yeah.
or homelessness. The thing is, like, there's so many reasons why people end up incarcerated and
Yes.
detained,
Yes.
and men are suffering, and that's something that I, as someone who is a survivor of suicide attempt, do know that there are people out there that could benefit from hearing my story and getting some kind of empowerment out of it. And for that reason, I would like to start my organization formally so that it can help. Because there's no reason
Okay.
why, if
Right.
I'm going through it, why do I have to go through it? Something should have been put in place so I wouldn't have to not know where to go for help.
That's
Like
right.
where was
Yes.
the help that I needed? Like who went through whatever they went through and didn't try to like go back and like save somebody else?
Right. Wow. So with
That's
that,
a gift.
I want to close up and say,
Okay.
listen, you got it. You on the right path. You figured out your pain into a purpose. And
Yeah.
and your
That's right.
purpose is to get the men help
Mhm.
services. If you need to reach out to my husband, please do so. He got his
Okay.
Serpro, you know, he
Gotcha.
do excellent support groups. I
Mhm.
mean, listen,
Let
whatever
us
we
do a
can
thing
do.
together, the three of us. Let's do something.
Yeah.
You have our unwavering support, Felix, whatever you need.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
Two
right.
thumbs up. You
Absolutely.
have our unwavering support, whatever you
Okay.
need.
Thank
Okay.
you. Listen, peace, y'all. I will be contacting y'all on the sideline, you know. So thank
All right.
y'all. You have a
Definitely.
blessed night.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
y'all
Be
so much.
blessed. Take
Good
care.
Peace.
night, my king and queen.
Good night. Good night.
God
Good night.
bless.
Peace.
Peace. No,